it's like starting this podcast, right? The whole
Mm.
objective wasn't to make money off it. It was just
Correct.
doing what we know we are good at and what we like. And I
Mm.
think that part of it is more the personal branding part than anything, which is like if you find what you're good at, if you and you know what you're not good at,
Mm.
then you can really take what you're good at and run with it
Mm.
and give it a shot.
Yeah.
And
Anyway,
then that becomes part of the personal brand.
correct. Anyway, for everyone out there, we are welcome to another episode of the Branding Beardos.
Yeah, we're
Today
actually in
we
the
are,
middle of
yeah, we were in the
talking
middle of
about personal
talking.
branding.
Yes, we are talking about personal branding today. This is something for you. Some of you might be a new animal out there, but it has been around for quite a while in some way, shape, or form. But there are many, many different elements of personal branding. And just like culture, this is probably a topic that we revisit a few times, depending on what it is, because it's so vast. There is no way that you can have a lot of things figured out within a 30-minute chat, like what we are doing. But we will try to pry open certain areas.
Facets of it, parts
Yeah.
of it, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I mean, the first things first. What is personal branding? It's same like culture, right? We're asking, what the fuck is it? What the hell is it? What are you talking about? Personal branding? Well,
a lot of people think it's bullshit, right? A lot of people think it's just like, a guy a guy wearing a suit, then take photo, portrait shot, then put on the LinkedIn.
Yeah. So you gave personal branding, right? The same concept as what you look at branding, just a logo. And the website, you're giving it the same, very aesthetic base, but it's not. I wouldn't even want to go into that cringy side where I say it's all about discovering yourself. Go and hunt naked in the woods and come back and find your true self. No, it's not that exactly, but it's really discovering who you are. That's first thing. I mean, for me, when I tell people about personal brands, I say your personal brand is exactly like a business. You have to craft it. You have to mold it. You have to promote it correctly. But at the same time, when you go to the start point of things, you have to ask yourself first, why do you want to build your personal brand for? Some people build it because they want to improve, the perception of people of them in the workplace so that they can try better for a promotion perhaps. Or really, some of them really want to find out what they are good at and what they need to improve to make themselves better. At the end of the day, it is the process of trying to make yourself better, or to turn yourself into that vision that you have of yourself. Same thing like companies, they have vision of themselves. They are trying to work towards building that vision. And the same thing for your personal brand. And of course, there's the other kind of personal brand that's a little bit more public. You have to craft that palatable, that acceptable vision.
That persona.
Yeah, that persona. Right? And normally when you go on that route, you are looking to monetize your own personal brand. So today, definitely we will pry into certain things. Because
I think
Kenneth sent me a very interesting article today.
Yeah, and it'll be very interesting because to talk about that. But I think to start, right, I think for two people who have personal brands, one of the biggest issues that I have with people who are doing personal branding is that they are teaching people that, okay, if you present yourself in a certain specific way, then it's personal branding and everything else is not. And I think that's a huge problem. First of all, what you have created, John, right? Big John, Big Life podcast, branding Beardos, and everything you say and do in your regular life and everything you put on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on social media, would you say that is your personal brand?
Yeah, I think for me, what I'm trying to do with those things is really, and the both podcasts, I think when we do there's so much alignment with who am I as a person, and that is really straight talking, to the point of, offensive maybe perhaps, but I'm
direct.
Very direct. I'm a big pill to swallow. That's what I can put it as. But
and you can
like what
actually
you say
crystallize it, right? Like that when people see your social media, see your podcast, listen to you speak, it's the same person.
Yeah.
Whether they are talking to you or whether they are seeing you on video. And that is actually in essence the key thing about personal branding that a lot of people don't get.
And for me,
it have to be the same.
Correct. I chose to be that way because most of us are not some kind of Hollywood stars or whatever. I tell you, to maintain the two personas, right, going out. I feel personally, if you cannot build a personal brand that is very relatable to who you are as a person, I tell you, the chances to slip up and cock up and make an absolute ass of yourself is very, very high. And what you say is correct. Right now, so many people's, I'm a personal branding this, personal branding that, so many, for me, right, when I look at it, right, I don't look at it like I said, that kind of run naked in the woods kind of self-discovery. No. I look at it, how I've helped to build personal brands and also in the process of still building mine as well, is to really look at it in how a strategist, how a consultant looks at a brand. That's what I'm doing. That's why certain things, if it's very easy, if I want to get like a 1 million likes and at the same time 500,000 dislikes is to post a video of myself half naked and dancing. That's going to be accepted by a lot of people and say, "Whoa, look at this guy! Yeah, so body confident. He's dancing, so fat, all the folds, but he's dancing there. So there's many ways to reach there. But then you got to ask yourself, exactly how do you want to build a brand? Is that what you want to be?
Is that who you really are? Is that
that's
what
why
you
a lot of
do?
that's why a lot of people, right? For me again, I don't give a damn what you do for a living. That is you. You're still a person. Respect you, whatever. That's why a lot of people when they go into, like say, porn stars for example, a lot of them are very, very smart women, very brilliant women. Some of them Mensa members and
PhDs,
all that. But
degrees.
because of that, and that somehow got linked with their personal brand. So when they come out, people just couldn't take some of them seriously.
They take them seriously,
Yeah, so that's quite sad, because and that's the way the public.
They are talented.
That's the way the public will view you. So you have to decide which route you want to take. Of course, there's a lot of women also, they regret it. It's not even women, the men who are in that industry also, they regret it because the repairing to their name that they have to do is quite difficult for them to overcome because the public's perception is already so strong.
I think at the end of the day, like to summarize where we are starting to go into is that we know that or we believe that personal brand is a lot more about amplifying what is authentic about yourself and not about creating a completely new look.
I think amplifying is part of it, but I think the discovery process, same journey like what we take every company through, right? The discovery process is very, very important. The same thing, you want to do this, but hey, you call yourself this, like for example, again, not slagging off anyone, but because this is for me also, calling yourself a brand person, for example, right? Brand guru or whatever. But you have no experience working with branding, no experience working with anyone, any company, and then going out there and saying my way works because I have more followers on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So.
Oh. I know some people like that.
I went there, yes. Yeah, but it's a fact. It's a point for me. I will never claim, even for me, through the Big John Big Life podcast, I talk a lot about my weight loss. I talk about weight loss. I talk about food. But I always add there, I say, look, you have to find what works for you. I don't give a damn about all the terms.
You never claim that you are a
but I am telling you
and fitness guru.
Exactly. What I'm sharing is a personal journey, a personal experience. I am not telling you I'm a guru, so please don't put it there as Big John Health Guru, right? Also, that whole term together, also for me still sounds weird. Until now.
So let's talk about Myra Stauffer, the lady in the article that I sent you this morning. Okay, so just to give some background, right?
Okay.
Myra Stauffer is a YouTube personality who got very famous because she documented the steps and how she adopted a child from China, right? And she adopted the kid as a baby, and then she monetized the entire process on YouTube. But now that the baby has grown up and had displayed behavioral issues, and it's likely that the child has some form of autism or some form of Asperger's. She rehomed the child like a pet.
Yeah, exactly. That was the first thing that I thought. Rehome. The word is rehome.
Yeah, and I thought it was like rehoming an animal. Like, oh, the animal doesn't suit my lifestyle anymore, so I'm gonna just rehome. But the real issue is that she built her entire brand persona.
Yeah.
Got high I think high level sponsorship, big money, right? Close to the $1 million mark, and she made money off this child basically, and then now she abandoned the child.
Yeah.
In the eyes of the public, abandoned the child because she couldn't deal with the kid.
Right.
So she built her entire personal brand on adopting this kid from China.
Correct.
And because of one bad move, she's basically wrecked her entire personal brand.
Yes. I mean, first things first, before we go into this thing proper, there is absolutely, for me, absolutely no reason whatsoever you can have that would be legitimate enough to say that that reason is good enough to rehome a child I adopted. No, unless she comes out and say that all this was a hoax and the child is still with her, by all means, then great. Apologies for all the things being talked about you, but if not, you are an absolute straight up 100%. You are that.
So would you rather she kept the kid, and I'm just like talking about the flip side. Would you rather she kept the kid, cannot handle the kid, and then have a negative outcome of the child?
No,
is that the other side of the story? That she cannot deal. She just she has no capability to deal.
You know,
although I do ask, right? Where is all the money? Where's all the money that you made, right? Can't you deal with the child from all the sponsorship that you make?
You know, this thing here, right? It opens a lot of moral issues, because there's
it's a can of worms.
It's really a can of worms, because one side people say that, okay, if she can't look after, then it's better to let go of the child, because the child might suffer under her hands, the child might die, right? But we can't have that conversation. I mean, we
didn't happen.
We are looking at it through a brand standpoint, but of course that one is really child endangerment and child welfare that has to be looked out. And the other thing is that the general public, the audience, does enjoy feel good stories like that, and I'm very sure that through what she has done, she has also inspired possibly some other people to follow in the same path to adopt. Of course, many people say there's going to be the flip side. There's going to be the good things, there's going to be the bad things. But for me, I can't even consider myself like a moral authority to want to say that. But for me, giving up a child and not trying hard enough and
just throwing the child off,
it's unimaginable. So I will still maintain that she's absolute. It's the husband. So is the husband.
And the thing is that to build a personal brand, and I think going back to fundamentals, right? Personal brand needs to be built on very strong foundations. Not foundations like that, right? Where you build a personal brand on an action that you decided to take, and then you monetize it, but then at the end of the day, you can't deal with it. That's one of the things that's very important.
Yeah, this is where
because really having a child is a commitment.
Yeah, it's really we are going into the moral area for sure already. Because the thing is, if she had not made it such a big song and dance about the whole thing, right? And she was really on the quiet, a private family doing private things. Then,
and it was a commitment, and she stuck to it. That would have been a personal
for me,
brand.
still bad enough that the child had to be given up on for whatever reason. Again, I'm not going to get into that whole discussion of oh, how about the women who got pregnant and no, we're not going to that. You know, this is not the brand. This is not the moral
this is not the
beardos.
moral beardos.
They're not the moral beardos. We're just here about looking at a personal brand. But she and the husband, it's not just her, it's the husband as well who's part of this entire process. So the thing is that we cannot victimize just the one individual, but you know, it's not one cunt, it's two cunts. You know, very, very simple. But it's if they had not made such a big song and dance, then it would have been bad. See, morally bad already.
But it would have been different for them.
Yeah, it would have been different. But now they made it so public, right?
Yeah.
They made a whole bunch of money, right? Of course, now we are still assuming the amounts that she's taking and whatever. But the thing is that she's become a star, a YouTube personality, and things like that with a bunch of followers. You know, then.
I think the problem is that when you make the real problem is that when they made a commitment, when they first started to like adopt the child, they made a commitment to adopting the child.
Yeah.
When they didn't consider the probability of, you know, having that issue.
Right.
That was really mistake number one, because when you make a commitment like that, like such a huge commitment,
especially when you paint yourself out to be
exactly
a saintly figure, I really want a child.
Correct.
You know,
I mean, you're not Angelina Jolie. You don't have like the unlimited resources, right, of Angelina Jolie, right, to adopt like kids from Africa, right, and then keep them alive and raise all of them. And I think that was one of the key issues with like staking the entire personal brand on that one action, right? And we go back to fundamentals. If we stake the entire, let's say you stake your entire personal brand on one element, you wouldn't have made it, right?
Yeah.
It's about the multiple factors that make you a person that make your personal brand strong.
Right.
So like for me, I'm not just a marketer. I'm also a writer. I also like to eat. I also like to like talk to people. So no, I like to make friends. I like to socialize. I love a good whiskey. All these things, like at a very base level, are different elements of the same person. And it's just how you like wrap it together and share it with people.
Yeah.
And I think for like a corporate brand, that is the case. It's just the elements of the product, elements of the company, and how you wrap it together and share it with people, right? Yeah. So this Myra Stauffer, or even, you know, people like more relatable one, okay, in Singapore, people like say, you want to believe this, I don't know, people like Xiaxue, right? Who even though they have like, right, the Instagram image is very paying, pretty, children, all that, but there is another part of the persona that is caustic, aggressive, like finding problems, dragging them out, getting into internet fights, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but that's part of her personal brand. I mean, she's been around a long time, and this is really a strong example. I mean, I hate to use the word "damn influencer," it's a stupid term.
Yeah.
But for her, as a strong personal brand, she's been building it for years. So for me, the thing is, right, I don't have to like you, right? I don't have to like every element of you, but she has done a lot to build the personal brand, and she's got, I would say, many things right.
Hundreds of thousands of people who are aware of her, right?
I think not only just the people who know her, but the alignment of her entire brand. You know, the pinkness of everything. It's just that when you look at certain things, that is so Xiaxue, right? You will definitely
like this one confirm Xiaxue.
Yeah, it's definitely her.
Yeah.
So she's been very successful as that. Do I agree with every opinion that she has? Of course not. Do you agree with every opinion I have? Of course not. So, you know, it's not the.
So my question
and I think that is very strong. I think that comes up to a point as well, that you need to maintain, right, as a personal brand, right, a particular stance.
Correct. Although my question is like, when you look at people like Xiaxue or you or me or anyone else, right? For that matter, who are building personal brands. I think the real question is, what do you want to be known for?
Yeah.
Because like, let's say Xiaxue, right? You are known for two. I basically know her for only a few things, right? Like all the pink stuff.
Yeah. For me, the first thing is the pink.
The kid, right? The kid was a real feature, and then that she's a very caustic, abrasive, like highly reflexive human being.
Yeah.
Aggressively reflexive, especially when like people come after, right? So those are the three things that people know her for. And the question would be then like, what do you want for personal branding? Is the lesson that I learned from her is that like, what do you want to be known for? And then you really got to like squeeze and push.
Yeah.
Focus on those.
I mean, of course, for her, that a lot of people will say, okay, some of the things that she's doing, she's just, trying to
get attention,
the limelight, and things. I mean, it's very easy to use that as a reason, just whatever that she does. She's just trying to get attention. But when
she's really good at it.
Yeah, but when you're at that level, there is some level to maintain. That's why I said that persona building, right? Depending on what you want to be known for, right? It has to come out very, very loud, very strong. For if you're looking at personal brand as a term to monetize and really get yourself out there is no middle ground.
Oh, yeah, there's no middle ground.
There is no middle ground. You go,
especially when you want to go out there and make money.
Yeah, and you go all the way, or you say, okay, that's it, stop. I can't do it because it's costing me too much of my persona. Of course, who knows, right? How she is really like in personal life. She really like this in personal, behind closed doors, or is this just a persona that she's building? If she's like this, then definitely a lot easier to maintain her. But if she's not, it's not easy to maintain that level of engagement in that mindset with that persona. It's not.
So because like we are talking about like monetizing, do you think that we should all start out with the goal of monetizing our personal brand in one way or another?
I right now, right, we have come to this space now where, there's so many YouTube personalities, TikTok personality. We've been YouTubed and TikTok to death, and now we are doing this podcast. We are further adding to the.
We're gonna podcast ourselves.
Further adding to the murky waters. I don't think the idea should be out to monetize. For monetize only if you have really something to share, lah. Don't, that's why I talk about the posting videos of myself, with my flaps hanging out and dancing and calling myself the most confident fat guy on the planet. That one will attract a lot of attention for sure. People like that kind of, wow, he's so body positive. I really want to be like him. His confidence is great. So with that, right? Honestly, if I want to go
and
on
of course
that
you
route,
get like the negative attention also.
Yeah, for sure.
It's still attention.
For sure. But the thing is, right?
Attention.
But the thing is, if I go and if I want to press ahead in that direction, right? I believe I can make something happen based on also what I know. But do I want to be seen as the guy who got famous by just leaving his folds hanging out? I don't want. I'm not comfortable with it. It's not me. So I cannot bring myself to be able to do something like that. So that's why this element, right, of going back to discover, what you are really good at first. What are you prepared to do? Same thing I will ask my clients, in the consulting world. What resources do you have now? What are you actually good at now? How much experience with these things do you have? And what do you have to move ahead? Don't have, then how? You want to get there? Are you prepared to put in these things in order to get there? Cannot, then we have to find another way. Same thing with building your personal brand. You cannot just, okay, one day I just wake up and I find that, and for me, right, the right now a lot of lines are very blurred, a lot of gray areas now because there's so many different platforms available is one thing. I remember like seeing a video TikTok of someone who just basically and has many followers, just watching him get drunk.
Yeah.
So do you want to still consider that a personal brand, you want to consider a performance, what do you? So a lot of these things are very, very murky right now. So I think the real thing is trying to decide, right, what are you intending to do with a personal brand? And
which brings me to the point about, like, you were talking about, I think that's important, that the personal brand needs to sit on the fact that you need to know what you're good at.
Yeah.
And you need to know what you can or cannot do. So I don't know about you, but how I figured out what I was good at was by like spending a lot of time figuring out what I was bad at first. By like simple process of elimination. So I tried to learn how to draw, didn't work.
Yeah,
I tried to learn how I bought a guitar when I was 13, trashed it when I was 15. Right? Like I have completely no musical talent. I'm crap.
Correct. Yeah.
I tried to sing, and then my voice changed. I couldn't sing anymore. So like it took me like 10 odd plus years to figure out what I was good at and what I wasn't. I don't know about I don't know if there's any faster way to do it. What about you?
You mean faster way to build a
like
personal
figure
brand?
out what you're faster way to figure out what you're good at before you build a personal brand?
For me, this one really, this is really going back to the old school. Really just sitting there, right? And literally, what I did was, okay, for you don't use paper, then use your tablet, whatever, lah. But really write down or type down.
Yes.
Seriously, what you have achieved so far. Look back at your life, right, and see what you have done so far, and look at what areas that you can use to go forward. But then, of course, so for people who don't have those capabilities, right, what's the next step that they took? They went on, they learned on their own, and basically upgraded their capabilities in order to reach those points. Then you have that kind of, that's not based on experience, but based on what you have.
I also think the other thing that really was very important for me was like upgrading my circle of friends. Like before, I didn't have the 5 people that I didn't have like 5 people outside of my home that I would be able to spend time with and know more stuff about. But I realized that the moment I had people who were always higher level than me somehow, and I associate and spend a lot more time with them, they were able to take me. Of course, you have to be open to learning, but they would be able to take me to their level.
Correct.
And I realized that by doing that repeatedly, it really gave me sort of an education in life. I remember when I was in Boston. I somehow got into the situation of like spending time with more professors than, say, like my classmates for extended periods of time. I also spent a lot more time with students with more work experience than me. And what happened was that like they got me into the whole like producing podcasts, talking to guests. They taught me how to teach better. They taught me how to teach students better. I taught when I was in Boston as well. And really like there were 5 people and they all upgraded me in one way or another. They taught me how to get a job as a foreigner in America. They taught me how to like talk to like high C-level kind of executives. They taught me how to produce podcasts. They introduced me to new friends, that kind of thing. And I felt that like those moments when you have those people who are like always higher level than you, really enhanced my personal brand. In a way that I could have never done, like by going to courses or like that kind of thing. And it was actually the same when we were in our previous workplace. I kind of just gravitated a little bit more to the people that were around for a little bit longer, knew a little bit more than me, and they really gave me an education. They really gave me education.
That's for sure. I mean, building for me, right, one of the key things also from building my own personal brand was a constant first understanding what I was. Honestly, the first time when this whole Big John term came about, I wasn't so comfortable like Big John. And at that time I was still, I was almost 30 kilos heavier when that. So that really was part of it, because I always had, of course, the embarrassment with the weight and all that. But as those things started coming on, then I started looking at other elements that I could build as well. And for me, the personal brand is constructed in a very, very specific way also because of the very nature of the job that I do, which is as a consultant. So of course, there are certain things that, I can and cannot do. And this is the same for every personal brand out there. If let's say, you are a minister, for example, right? And the minister goes there and does what I talk about and, do a half-naked dancing video, all the fats hanging out.
I think game over.
There could be one group that says, wow, I'm so proud to have an MP who can step out like this. I'm so proud of him. But then there'll be, but then depending on where your target market is, what your target market could bring you to shits for it, Like, wow, I'm becoming of an MP. We better vote him out the next time. So that's why for politicians, let's say we're looking at personal brands of politicians, for example, or most company CEOs. Okay, don't think of the Mark Zuckerberg. Don't think of Elon Musk. Let's not look there. That one is a completely different level of personal brand. That one is the company and the person all in one. But in the general case, especially like here in Singapore's context, when we start to talk about personal brand, people always don't want shy showing off. I don't want, but it's really not about that. It's really when
I read an article which I like completely disagree with, which is that like personal brand, in other countries, the more you share, the more you push, the more you talk about things about yourself and the better. But in Singapore, you should reserve yourself and make sure that you don't be so forward and don't be so open. People will think you're very arrogant. I'm like, I read the article and I was like, this is complete bullshit.
When I did
why people are scared.
Correct. When I did a keynote, when I spoke about personal branding, one of the directors came up to me and he asked this question. I don't really feel comfortable. I feel like it's being perhaps very show off to do. I said, no, it's absolutely not. Personal branding, for me, summing it all up, is to make you a better version of yourself.
Do you realize what you just said? You realize what you just said, what the guy just said? He says, I'm not very comfortable with personal branding. I think it's a very hao-lian. And the thing about people is that when they think it's very hao-lian, they project it onto other people. So when other people are sharing about themselves and talking about personal branding, they think they are hao-lian and they tell other people that this person is very haulian.
Correct. So
there's toxic,
many different percent. That's why people and to be honest, the same guy was saying, oh, this kind of things like personal branding is more what the Westerners do. And I was just looking at him. And I was like, really, in a company that's supposed to be much more progressive in his thinking, telling me that it's only something the Westerners do? Are you out of your mind or what?
Lee Kuan Yew, no personal brand.
Lee Kuan Yew has a strong personal brand. Powerful personal brand.
Exactly.
Unwavering. He has never
uncompromising, unwavering.
And that's why his personal brand, it's this aura created as a result of his personal brand that makes people
really push things forward.
Never mind, but make people shiver when he's in the room because he's such a formidable guy. But that's how he projects himself. So
that's personal brand.
And that's also a very good example, because the personal brand is not only what you put on paper, but it's really the aura you project. The thing is, if you want to be like a statesman, he could be a person who's naturally. I'm sure there are many advisors who advise Lee Kuan Yew and every other politician out there about how they need to be.
Even really when he's not in the room, right? You say his name, right? There's certain meaning attached to the name.
For sure. But it's really the entire package, when you're building a personal brand from a politician's standpoint. It's not not only how you speak, what you say, but how you carry yourself, how you stand, how you walk, how your hands move, the voice, everything. Everything needs to be crafted, because for politicians, personal brand is a lot trickier. And same thing for bosses, because you have to position yourself as as a particular persona. You know, whether you want to be the boss that strikes fear into the hearts of your employees,
inspire people,
or inspire people.
Yeah,
that requires
or are you the
crafting.
fast connector that move very fast, and like all these things matter. And to say personal brand is a bit haolian, you're dismissing
dismissing it as a Western concept. That is complete utter nonsense. I tell you, there are many good examples, right, of very, very powerful personal brands throughout history here in Asia. You know, even Mao Zedong also. You know, he's become such a cultural figure. You know, until like bloody souvenirs have his face on it, right? And people are lapping it up and buying it. You know, and that's the aura. You know, forget what he ever did in those times, but that legend that was created. Hey, all this has something to do with personal branding. It's not just a PR stunt.
All this is
a personal brand. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that is what a lot of CEOs or like leaders in the different companies in Singapore kind of are missing. That personal branding isn't just simply, I make myself look good. That's it. No. It's about being able to share your philosophy and therefore the guiding philosophy of the company.
That is correct.
And where you're going and how you're. And if you are a CEO of a listed company, it's even more important, right? Because when you go into that level, then people are looking at how you behave every day, and that affects stock prices, right? Because imagine if you put a cowboy in charge of CapitaLand, right? Then every day your stock price is going to swing. Every day something, or imagine if someone like Donald Trump is in charge of a major, in charge of a major company that is listed. It swings, right? And that's what you don't want. People, shareholders, investors, vendors, partners, they want stability, right? They want to know who they're dealing with.
Exactly.
And part of that is making sure that you have a strong personal brand that projects what you want people to know about you, and at the same time authentic.
So there are so many reasons as to why would a person want to build a personal brand, and that's why we this whole discussion, went into a few different places, because a personal brand can be crafted, can be nourished, can be promoted based solely on what you intend to do with it. If you want to monetize, that's one route to go. If you want to inspire your workers, your staff, your colleagues, you go in another way. If you are trying to better yourself, but for me, betterment is throughout. Because in order to build, in order to grow, in order to everything, you are really looking at the basis of making yourself into a better.
You're just improving yourself all the time.
I'm not saying the kind of better, like the kind of BS better, like, I'm a better person today. No, not that kind.
No.
But I'm talking about in terms of improving your skills, improving your circle of friends and influencers in your life. It's all about bettering all these other areas.
And I mean, like, I think a really, really good example will be doing this podcast, right? Like, just to learn how to record, cut, and hit.
I had to download so many different kind of programs, not knowing how the hell to use any of it.
Get guests, right? Learn how to interview guests, learn how to. All these things are like additional skills that we will never touch in our workplace.
Yeah.
And at the same time, while we don't monetize this directly, to be able to add this as a very real asset in, like, when we talk about what we do to other people, it's a very real asset when it comes to like looking for a job.
Yeah.
Or talking to people and saying, hey, when you're talking about a deal, you say, this is what I do personally, and this is how it's connected to my real life job, my day job, and please look for me if you need all these things.
Yeah.
And those become the monetizer, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
exactly,
it may not directly make you money, but it definitely enhances your life. Every time you do something that adds to your personal brand, that you can sort of immediately act, it's like directly actionable kind of a thing.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, also us, the branding beardos, we are not the moral police.
Yep.
We really don't. We are not here to judge anyone's morals. The thing is, what we are trying to say also, that if you choose on a particular path that is in contradiction with who you are as a person, and if somehow that public persona cannot be maintained and you suddenly slip up, the consequences can be very, very dire for your personal
consequences
brand.
Can destroy you.
Yeah, so, I mean, for example, like this couple who adopted the child, damaging for whatever legitimate reasons, right? Damaging for the brand, for sure, 100%. You know, or if suddenly like, like if Greta Thunberg were to suddenly fly private jet only, drinking champagne, a picture of her, just one picture of her comes out like that, that's it. Personal brand also finished. That she will still have that circle of die-hard supporters who say that, oh, she deserves it, she's working so hard for the planet, let her take that one jet. But to many other people, should be seen as she sold out. You know, that kind of thing. So very, very important for me. For me, as always, when I help people with personal brands, I always coach them into finding something that is most relevant to them, the closest to them, where we can look. This is the closest pathway to you. We tweak further and we move ahead with this. Don't do anything wildly different.
Yep.
You know, so it's important. Yeah, it's important to build your personal brand, especially now where everyone is on the digital space. You know, and we have to be careful.
You really learn how to differentiate yourself a little bit more. And I'm really glad that we talk about this, because this is it, in this environment when everyone is looking for a job, everyone wants to, this is one of the things that is often overlooked.
Correct. But now it's starting to become very important.
Yeah, and I also think that like during crises, and there's going to be more crises in the next 10 years, right? This is not the only crisis that you'll be facing, big or small. All the things that all the skills and abilities that we accumulate and incorporate into the personal brand will eventually become useful in the next crisis. And so to me, it's a lot about, like, personal brand is a lot about building capability and then being able to share it in a very palatable way with people.
Yeah.
So
I mean, today's episode is really.
Today's episode is actually
just
pretty heavy.
Just a gateway. It's still a gateway into what personal branding. I mean, for sure we will be touching a lot more into these topics, and we are going to probably specifics into really how to develop and what to look at when you need to develop a personal brand. But it's been very heavy episode. Didn't expect it to be.
It's like heavy going because I didn't expect it, right? Like and I think really I'm glad that we talk about it, because this really helps me to refresh and rethink, how to approach even my personal brand.
No, absolutely. Even for myself also, how I help my clients, or even as a mentor to some people, it will definitely make me relook a lot of things, because I've already been forced to relook into a lot of things because of the situation now. But great, as usual, another super episode. Hope you guys out there learn something.
If you want to talk about it, leave a comment in the comment section, or
get in touch with us directly.
Send us email. And we'll be happy to like talk, even have you on the show.
And we will
always answer your questions.
Be on time.
We will always be punctual.
We will always be punctual because Kenneth and myself, we have full-time day jobs. Again, repeating, I run a consulting firm. Kenneth is also a senior member of his company. We both have very busy lives, and we will still be punctual for you.
So if we tell you our meeting is 3 o'clock,
it will be at 3 o'clock.
At 3 o'clock.
We don't like people who are not punctual.
Like 3:15 or whatever.
Yes. That's another story for another day over some beers. Well, until next time, don't forget to hit the damn subscribe button.
Hit the like button and drop us an email if